Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of When Ebenezer Talks, the Black History Edition. This is the month we celebrate African Americans and their successes and how they have been blessed by God. Today, I am honored to have Mr. Dory Sample with us. We're going to interview him. Thank you, Dory, for coming, being here with us today. Tell us, being a general contractor all these many years, how did you get started? What made you want to be a carpenter?
Well, I started off working on the farm.
Okay.
At 25 cents an hour.
25 cents an hour. Gosh.
25 cents an hour.
Okay.
Then I moved up to men wages with 40 cents an hour. And I was working. Wouldn't get nowhere seemed to be at the time. And then I met a farmer, asked me to help him get help for pick his tomatoes. Mm-hmm. That's how I started contracting.
Okay.
His name was Ambrose Taylor.
Okay.
That guy from Savageville. Yeah. And he asked me back, helping him get the help, and I did that. And that evening, he paid everybody off. Then he paid me off and gave me $40. Said, can you come back tomorrow? I said, what time?
And so that was a lot of money back then.
It was, at that time, it was a lot of money, yeah. So then I started contracting in the field work. Then I had to go back to school. Then after that, I got married.
So wait, you were doing this as a teenager?
Yeah.
You had a whole business in what we consider in this day's time, a whole business as a teenager. So you was like 18, 19 years old?
No, I was 15.
15 years old
16,
with a business?
Yeah, 16.
Wow.
15, 16, yeah. And then I left, moved away, came back home, got married, and then I started a family, so I had to find something to do. I started cutting hard pulpwood, did that for a few years until I had accident, when I had a little tough luck there for a while. Then I had to find something else to do, because I had a wife and a child by that time. Mm-hmm. And I just had to take care of them. So I was looking for a way to take care of them. Then I found out doing carpentry work.
Started out doing carpentry work.
And started off at $1.30 an hour with that.
Working for somebody else?
Working for somebody else, $1.30 an hour. And then I met another guy, asked me about work for him. And he asked me what I was getting. I told him I was getting. He asked me how I make it with that. I said I wasn't, because I was driving school bus part-time too. Try to survive, you know. Mm-hmm. And so then I decided to go in business for myself. And I worked with a guy, and he would try to teach me little stuff during lunch break, you know. Mm-hmm. Because the guy working for, they want me to learn something. And told the guy not teaching them, because I wouldn't be that long. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I asked him for a set of blueprints. He gave me a set of blueprints, and I went home and started studying them. And then, by that time, I had a wife and 2 kids. No, I didn't either. Still had 1 child at the time. So I just started studying. Then I started working for different ones. And then I decided to go for myself, yeah.
And you went out on your own?
Yeah.
Do you remember how old you were when you went out on your own, doing carpentry?
Was that 20?
Roughly?
No. Cut pup when we first got married.
His wife is here with him too, so y'all, we're going to interview her offline.
I started college, I tell you what, it was in 69.
So it's safe to say you was in your 20s?
Yes, early 20s.
In your 20s, running a bit. You had started running a business from age 15, and you stayed doing some kind of business, and you started out on your own with the carpentry construction business in your 20s, and you're still doing it?
Still at it.
Still at it?
Still at it. Well, mostly now to help other guys out.
What has been your greatest challenge?
Dealing with people
You must pastor then too. Dealing with people, okay. Okay.
Well, dealing with public in general, and try to keep everybody happy and keep yourself happy at the same time, which is a struggle. My poor brother is dead and gone. He's always telling me, said, how you expect to make everybody happy, and good Lord can't make everybody happy. And you try to make everybody happy but yourself, he said to me more than one time. And I just kept going. Been over backwards a lot of times, try to get along with people.
And you kept people working for you all the time?
Yes. When I became a Class A contractor, I had hired 8 men working at one time, working for me. And then got back to 3 or 4. And basically I kept like 4 men working with us all the time.
And you have built buildings, houses, churches, you name it, from Tidewater to Delaware.
Yes, even across the bay.
Everywhere.
Been all over
And
there.
then in later years you started working on a lot of churches, like this one.
Yes. Yeah, this is one of the churches.
Yeah.
This is one that still look good.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, I did several churches from the ground up. I designed them, did a blueprint for them, and then built them.
So basically, God blessed you with a gift.
Oh, yes.
To do it all that you wanted to do. This is Black History Month, and so did you run into a lot of racism with your business?
Yes, a few different times, but I learned to deal with that. I could potentially put them into place, you know, because I didn't start nothing. I didn't take stuff out on people. I just told them what I thought and put it behind me.
And kept
going, yes.
Okay.
I talked to them like a man supposed to talk, and I expect the same for them, and I got the same from them.
Okay. Okay. And you did all of this all these many years. God blessed you to have a family, to take care of your family on this business. And you kept building it, you kept moving it. You've taught so many people how to do it.
Yes.
And now you're into mentoring others.
Yes.
In how to be successful at it. How is that?
Well, I'd like to see people do better than I did. And I always try to help ones, especially ones that wanted to do, you know. I ran across a lot that didn't want to learn anything. I still try to teach them, but sometimes was helpless. But then I found a few that wanted to learn, and I try to be there for them. They had problems, I show them how to do it, or tell them how to do it. If I couldn't tell them on the phone, I'd go to the job site and do it for them, you know, put them on the right track.
Yeah.
And I didn't regret it. Some appreciate it, of course some don't, but I still try to help people out.
Do you remember one of your hardest jobs that you ever had to build? Probably for you, none of them was hard, but do you remember any one of them that was hard?
Well, when I first started out, I did a job in Saxis. The guy had an oyster house out there. He wanted office over top of it. It was one big opening, you know. And the inspector staff told me they couldn't do it. And the guy that did the block work for him was Robert Hall. So he told them he knew a guy would do it. So they called me, and I jumped in the car, went up there, and talked to him. He told me what they wanted, and asked me could be did. I said yeah. He said how? I said I don't know. Right there. I can see he turned, his whole expression changed. You know, he turned colors.
Because he was expecting you to tell him right there.
Yeah. And so I said I'm going back home. I said I'll call you back in a couple of hours and tell you what it can did or not. So I went home, and got my contractor and everything, my paper, rule and stuff, and start drawing and sketching. And I picked up the phone and called the brick mason, asking him how many blocks he could do, what he could do. I asked him, could he do 3 more tiers for me, higher than what he wanted? He said, yeah. So I called the guy back, told him how to do it. He said, well, get me a plan together. And so I went on and sketched it up, showed it to him, he liked it, and we went for it. And as far as I know, this day is still standing there.
Wow.
So after I got through, I told him to call the inspector and tell him to come check it. And I had 2 offices up over top there. It was 30-some feet wide, and no partition nowhere through it. And I had 2 offices up over top of it.
Wow. And it's still standing today?
Still standing, yeah. And then the last one I did, a guy bought me a picture. No blueprint, just a picture. And when the house built, it was a big 2-story house with hip roof and everything on it. And had no plans, no nothing. So anyway, this time I went to the library and got me a book. Couldn't have nobody ask.
Yeah.
I always tell people what to do, but the time I need something there, I had nobody to ask.
Yeah.
Nobody could tell me or what, wouldn't tell me. Rather.
Yeah.
So I went to the library and got me a book, and I looked it up and picked up a few things and went back and
did it.
Yeah, and I passed by that during the Christmas, and she's still standing, still yeah.
When you came along doing carpentry, doing construction, a lot of people were doing it. You had a lot of competition.
Yes.
That might not be the right word. How did you have a lot of issues with the other people that were trying to build on the same level that you were?
Yes. And I was working for poor class people mostly, you know, and 1-2 white guys, they said something to me about working cheaper, you know, than what they were working. Because I told them the people I worked for need to know what it can cost them, how much it cost them from Jump Street. I couldn't tell them it could be $5,000 back the next day and tell them $8,000.
Yeah.
Because they'd be hurt, you know.
Yeah.
I said, well, a lot of them, because during the same time, I had the hurricane in Florida. That was a big hurt for me. Cause I did 3 different jobs, and material stuff went up so high, but I had to do it because I had signed a contract.
Yeah.
But the white guys, they upped their prices, hired $15,000, $20,000 on the same job, you know, just because of the storm.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was hard. Some days I didn't want to go to work.
Really?
Well, I would go work for nothing. It cost me to go to work.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you still had guys to pay.
Yes.
And a family to feed.
And a family to feed.
Yeah. And bills to pay.
And bills to pay. But at the time my wife started working, she was doing nursing then. And which was a big help. So we survived it. And I was able to build my house during these times.
Yeah.
And I would start working.
Yeah. Yeah. What has been your greatest joy out of your business?
The finished project.
Seeing it done.
Seeing it done, yeah. It was challenging, which I liked challenges at that time, because somebody told me something couldn't be did, I was gonna find a way to do it.
That's true.
Yes, and so far I did it.
Yeah.
And it came out, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
And even the inspectors, we built a big house in Parsley, and he had a problem, so they called me up there, but at the same time they called the inspectors. So when I was there before the inspector got there. So when the inspector come in, they asked him, said, why do you call me? So that's the man you talk to right there. Said, Mr. Sample, said, whatever he said, it'd be all right with me. So, you know, so anyway, I looked at it and told him I could fix it. He said, you gonna fix it? I said, yeah, so he told me to fix it. And I got along good with the inspectors after I got them straight. At the beginning, they gave me a hard time and tried to tell me things that I knew wasn't right. And I wouldn't let them get by with it. And from then on, they started giving me respect, you know.
Yeah.
So from then on, if they have problems, ask Dory, you know. Different time they have problems, just ask Dory.
Yeah, and I'm sure that made your competition upset too.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was always coming to you for advice and how to get something solved.
Even when I first started, I was doing a job remodeling a bank, and I worked for this guy then, and the boss gave him the blueprint. He gave them to me, and I saw something on it right away that wasn't right, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, so me being the way I was, I saw the boss coming, you know, and I said to my boss, "What so and so draw this?" You know,
Yeah.
I told him what was wrong with it. I said,
Yeah.
and so the big boss heard me. He said, "What do you say?" I said, "Oh, nothing." He said, "Let me see what you're talking about." So I showed it to him. He said, "Could you do it better?" I said, "I couldn't. I wouldn't call myself a carpenter." So he said, "Well, fix it like it's supposed to be." And from that day on, my boss asked something, he asked Dory. The guys come out of town for do the seat and stuff, asked Dory. Everything, everybody could have asked Dory. So I was the youngest one on the job and oldest black one on the job and telling everybody what to do.
What to do.
And that was a pleasure, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have multiple memories of all these years.
Oh, yes.
Good and bad.
Good and bad, yeah.
Good and bad.
But the good outweigh the bad.
The good outweighed the bad. What advice do you give, or would you give, to a young person? This is our last question. What advice would you give to a young black person that comes to you and says, "Dory, I want to be a general contractor. I want to be a carpenter. I want to build houses like you did"? What would you tell them in 2025?
I would tell them the do's and don'ts, and then I'd tell them if you can do anything, do it right, else don't do it at all. If you can't do it right, don't do it at all. You'll be more prosper at it, and you'll, and at the end of the day, you'll be able to go home and go sleep when night comes without worrying about it, you know. And then if you treat people right, you can stay in business. When I first started out, I advertised for couple of months, maybe 3 months, on the radio station from down to Silver Beach. And after then, I never advertised anymore.
Didn't have to.
Didn't have to now. And stayed busy.
Almost had to turn people away.
If I had to, 'cause I couldn't do it all, yes.
Yeah.
And I had guys work for me there. I helped get out on their own. Had one guy, Theodore Pete, I had a contract to do a house for his aunt. And at that time, I had 2 or 3 houses going at the same time. And he wanted to get started on his own. So I went down and talked with his aunt, and I told him that he was, capable of doing it. And but I would be there with him and be there for him, you know. So I would go down and help him get it started and leave him. And I would go back, and check on him with everything. And I had folks say to me, "Why you give him that job?" I said, "Because it's more than I can do. If he want to go for himself, help him, help him get started."
Yeah.
And since then, in fact, he was working for me at the time for a while, him and his brother both. And then a lot of times he would get jobs he didn't understand, he would call me, and I would go down, supervise and whatever. And he's been going ever since.
I've seen firsthand people call you and don't understand how to get this done or that done. And once you get there in a matter of 30 minutes or less, you done figured out, show them how to do it, and it works.
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I couldn't figure it out, I'd go home, go sleep on it. The next day, I could tell them what to do.
Well, that was the next thing. We were supposed to finish. You have always said that you'd go home, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and the Lord had showed you
Yes.
how to fix it.
Yes. One time, St. Mary's down the...
Yeah, where I passed the other church, yeah.
Yeah. I went there, the church was completely falling down. And they had several contractors told me, they couldn't fix that, tear it down. I went there, and my man's with me, even my brother. And he said, "You can't fix this, you got to tear this down." I said, "They can't afford to tear it down." And I took measuring stuff and went home, went to bed. Got it the next morning, see where I went to bed. No vision at all.
Didn't work that night.
It didn't work. So I goes back down again, and I looked it over again, goes back home. In the middle of the night, it came to me. Went back down there and told them I would fix it. And they gave me the okay, and we started working on it, and it came out, it's still standing.
Wow.
It was so bad in places we couldn't put nails in, had drilled it and put bolts in it and bolted it together.
Wow. And you figured out how to do that and get it done without them having to go through
Getting a whole new church.
a whole new church. Where everybody else would have told them tear it down and start over.
In fact, everybody else did tell them that. I mean, 2 or 3 different contractors before they got to me told them that.
And I know you're telling the truth because even in this building, I had preachers that tell me that what you see now, here now, what you all come and see on Sundays or whenever you come here, what you see could not be done. And I said to them, I said, oh yeah, the man that's gonna do it for me, it can be done. And then those same preachers came back after it was done and they couldn't believe it. And I said, yeah, I told y'all it could be done. And so it's no doubt in my mind that God has anointed you.
Oh, no doubt.
To do what you've done all these many years, and then to still allow you to do it even to this day. And that's a blessing.
Yes.
What closing remark, what closing statement do you have for all of us, all these many years in business, 50 plus, probably 60 plus years now in business? What do you say to us?
Try to do the right thing, treat people right, and the Lord will take care of you.
Try to do the right thing, treat people right, and the Lord will take care of you. We're closing on that note. Dory, thank you so much. Thank you all for join us for another episode of When Ebenezer Talks. We'll be back again next week with another guest, especially designed for Black History Month. Until then, I'm Palmer Bunning, your host. God bless you, and God keep you is our prayer.